Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road and welcome to the Scrapbook Tutor series. This episode is on structure and we're going to start with the topic of grounding. So let's take a look at this first scrapbook layout. This is from my previous scrapbooks, some of my early pages, and oh my goodness, I am looking at the lack of grounding in this page. There is nothing holding these stickers in place. Everything just seems to be floating. You've got a variety of cocked pictures, a variety of different shaped cut pictures, which can be okay if they have some kind of a unity or something to ground them together. But there's nothing behind the pictures other than that giant frame of blue. So I feel like it would be a little bit better to prevent that, at least if there was like a smaller piece of a different color coordinated cardstock. Another example is this page that, again, from my early scrapbook layouts. You've got these pictures cocked here. Now there's a little bit better of an attempt at grounding here at the left with the border that goes from top to bottom. And then on the right with the corners, it attempts to provide a beginning, middle, and end to the page. But still, the middle, they're just floating pictures. So definitely cutting my dad out of a picture in outline form and just floating him in the middle of the page that's not a good idea. It needs to have something behind the pictures, almost like a middle ground, to hold it all together and in place and connect the ideas together. And I think just a simple piece of cardstock or pattern paper would do the trick. Now, this is an example of something that's a better use of grounding, where the picture of the boys at the top is connected to a horizontal border, which is connected to a series of pattern paper below the picture. It gives the illusion that everything's the same size, that it's a big rectangle connected with a horizontal line. But it's really not. It's just a horizontal photograph. It just, the way that everything is connected and put together into a cohesive shape. Notice the slight orange outline of the whole shape brings a sense of grounding and unity to the shape itself. Otherwise, it might look like it, quote unquote, like needed something. The tree by itself might have looked like it was floating if it wasn't attached to that horizontal line. Here is another example of, even though there's no picture here in this page yet, this provides some good grounding. It's a good background here. Nothing, even though it looks like the embellishments there are floating. Imagine that when you put the photograph in, imagine that you tuck it slightly underneath those embellishments, so that the embellishments, those bottom corners of the embellishments and all going down the left side there, those connect to whatever picture you put. So imagine putting your picture basically right in the sort of like the right center of this scrapbook layout, touching the embellishments that are there on the right. And that would be a good example of some grounding. You've got something that holds it all together and nothing is really going to seem to be floating because those embellishments would be touching that picture. So those are some good examples of some grounding and some poor examples as well. But let's move on to balance. This is another area of structure that needs to be addressed. And again, I'm going to look at this very much needs to be improved early scrapbook layout. Now, when we're looking at balance, I mentioned earlier about the size of the photos, for example, and look at the size of the photos just in relation to the size of the stickers. There's just no cohesive balance. What are we trying to do in this page? What are we trying to show? Are we trying to show the room? Are we trying to show the people? Are we trying to show college life? Just what? There's no sense of balance as to what we're trying to do here or show, especially given the spring-like Easter egg type coloring borders that don't even match the colors of the school, incidentally. So there's just a lack of balance all around in this page between the shape, the titles, the color, everything. Here's a little bit better of balance, although it could stand to use some improvement. But this is a page I made showcasing my 8th grade year. And here you've got down the center, you've got some grounding there. So all these pictures are there just to showcase, I guess, things from my 8th grade year. But if you look at the top right and the bottom left, they're both sports pictures in the same size. Then if you look at the top left, this is of the center section, and the bottom right, they're both landscape horizontal photos. And even though they don't match in exact size, it does provide a sense of balance, as does cutting the friend pictures into circles and making them look like 8s, like number 8s in each of the 4 corners, providing a little bit of balance to this page. The next example is this sandcastle page that I made a while back. Again, that's another one of my first pages. But this again provides a little bit of balance. I could see where I was trying to gain some control here over my scrapbooking. I'd probably been scrapbooking about 5 years or so at this time, and just trying to include shapes that had some consistency and balance. But as you can see, the vellum title the vellum titles that I hand wrote, the pieces of vellum are not the same sizes. So you've got some wonky looking borders around the vellum in brown, which makes it look a little inconsistent. But as you can see, the top 2 squares, the cardstock on the photo, are the same size as are the middle and the bottom, creating a sense of balance in the page as a whole. This page was done probably about 10 to 15 years into my scrapbooking career. And as you can see, I've improved a lot just in the same area of balance. Now, this is the same type of idea as I was trying to do in the page I previously showed you, but here it's done a lot better than it was in the other. The photos are, I don't even know how to explain it with words, but you could just see it feels balanced with the embellishments on the top left and bottom right, with the color of the photos in the right side and the left, with the pattern paper on the left and the right, top and bottom, the journaling on the left versus the title on the bottom right. You've got a lot of balance. One side doesn't feel heavier than the other in terms of weight, color, embellishments, or structure. So let's move on to proportion, because that's another element of balance as well, is just proportion. And oh my goodness, this is an early photo. This was my very first baby photo, for heaven's sake. But look at, for some reason, how largely I made the letters using giant letter stickers in proportion to the photo. And I did not center the photo for some reason in the back. This had to be some of my very, very, very earliest pages. But everything just looks like it's not quite proportioned right. The color we'll talk about in another video. That's a video all on its own. But yeah, I feel like it just screams name and weight instead of trying to, maybe I wasn't that delicate of a baby. I don't know, but it really doesn't seem like I was by the sharp corners, the loud paper, and the just not proportionate lettering. Here again, I just cannot get enough of how just improperly done and just not a good page this is. This is one I'd really like to remake. Nothing is in proportion. It's in particular the stickers. And you've got this tiny, tiny picture of the 3 of us there at the top, but yet these bigger pictures in like the middle and left, nothing is proportionate to itself. it almost just looks like I didn't even think this through. Like I just wanted to put pictures down. And while I enjoy looking at the pictures, the proportion, the structure, the grounding, the balance, all of those things are actually distractions in me enjoying the pictures that are here. I think what I could have done at the very least is used all circles, all squares, all rectangles, and done something like that to provide a little bit more proportion. This one is an example of a variation of proportion. This is from my first grade. This is my first grade page. And here I didn't use the same shape. You know, I've got the oval there for my picture and then little squares for everyone in the class. But for some reason, doesn't that feel a little bit more of a complete and cohesive page than that dorm suite dorm page? You know, I've got the little report card there turned, and that's how it is stuck to the page. It's on that page so you can read the teacher's comments in her own handwriting. But that proportion, it feels right. You've got, the only thing that I don't like is that there's a lack of grounding behind those pictures. And I don't like that the title there, when I cut apart the class picture, I made the title and left it so small. But the proportion otherwise is pretty good. This, I think, is another better example of how proportion can be used effectively. You've got a lace doily, a heart, half cut in the bottom left. Now that's going to provide some proportion and some balance. If that was a smaller heart, it might look funny or like it needed something on the page because you've got it. The heart size is in proportion to the larger scale of embellishments on the right side. And then imagine you're going to be adding probably at least a 3-inch by 5-inch photo there in the in the center of the page. So the embellishments there on the page have to be proportionate not only to each other, but also to imagining the size of the photo that you plan to add as well. Okay, and our last topic today is theme and style. This is the final element of the structure section. And looking at this page, this is actually a poor example of theme and style because what, again, was I trying to accomplish? The only thing that I can think of was that I think I remember making this page and I think I was trying to go for the fact that 8th grade for me personally was a whole lot of randomness. There was just some random people that I was friends with. I didn't really have a lot of close friends. I did a bunch of different random activities. I did a bunch of just random things. So I think I was trying to get away from the sticker floating habit that I had been in before and just try to create some sort of a theme. But I still think I could have done that a little bit clearer than I did here. Something a little bit more definite. What's the style going to be at the page? What's the theme going to be at the page? You know, and the look of the page. Here is a better example. Clearly, it's a winter page by the pictures, but even if those pictures were not there, you would clearly know that it was a winter page by the pattern paper, by the embellishments. There's a clear theme and style here. Now, not just the pattern paper and the embellishments, but also the clean cut style matches that clean look of white snow. So you wouldn't want to have snowflakes all over the place if you were going for this kind of theme. If it was sort of a rough day, you know, maybe sledding and things like that, I might not have designed this page to look so clean and crisp and calm. So you got to think of that. What are the pictures you're going to be putting in there and how do they coincide with the way that you've structured the page itself? Because those two should match up. I'm going to go back and show you this page again of my dad because there is absolutely 100% no sense of theme or structure on this page. Now, this doesn't say anything about the fact that I love my dad and I love these pictures of us together, but I could have done a little bit of a better job with some sort of like theme or just what am I trying to do here? These pages, the color doesn't say anything other than blue. And I only chose that because he was wearing blue in some form in all three of the pictures. I remember that was the reasoning. But unlike the snow page we saw earlier, the structure of this page and the way that I did the style and the theme, the lack of, doesn't say anything about how I felt about my dad, especially at the time I made just this page. Now here's a better example of style and theme. Whatever pictures go in here, the page itself clearly has a lighthouse theme. It almost looks like how we would do paper piecing. Remember paper piecing, and that's still actually popular today. This page, I remember as I was making it, I was using a stamp set there, tried to make it look a little bit like a lighthouse. Now, these wouldn't necessarily have to be lighthouse or beach pictures. Something, though, that maybe it was like a Bible study where you were, talking about being the light of the world. Maybe it was a book you were reading in your book club about lighthouses or beach or vacationing, or maybe it was a vacation page, just whatever. But the theme itself sets the tone for the pictures to be added there. And then, as you can see in this page, there really isn't a lot of room for journaling. And even though we're going to look at journaling in an episode separate from this episode, in this page, the structure of the page allowed me to add hidden journaling inside the 12 by 12 layout. That also goes along with style and theme, depending on the kind of hidden meaning you have in your pictures, or maybe it was the feel of the pictures you tend to add. Now, in the same way, this is a page I made just last year or the year before, and this is a home with a picture of a house on the front. Certainly not a whole lot of room for pictures or journaling there, as the page itself is the artwork. Although in the top left corner, you could put a small picture, maybe something coming out of the corner there, or some journaling. But the secret here, and another hidden element in the structure, style, and theme is the page, is that the house opens up accordion style to the left side and to the right side. So there you could put pictures in all the little windows. You could put long pictures, horizontal pictures, triangular pictures over the rooftops. You could really open that up and show the inside of maybe the house that you're living in, or maybe the family you have. If you have a big family, you could have a picture of different people in the family in different windows. There's a look at how it opens up. If you pull the house to the right, it opens up a different way. Really, really interesting way to alter the structure of a basic 12 by 12 scrapbook page and just make it a little bit more pertinent to what you're trying to do in the scrapbook layout. And now I realize that many of you won't take this kind of time and effort or diligence to create a scrapbook page, but there are lots of different options you can try depending on your style. Now I'm going to end by showing you this page, and you'll see this page throughout the series, because even though this was made a long time ago for me, it was one of my first pages. Look, every time I look back on it, I really am pleased every time I look at this page. It leaves me with a very good feeling. We had one picture of a coffee house, the inside of the coffee house that we went to when we were on vacation when I was growing up. And I wrote the story there about the coffee house and what it meant to us. That picture was taken right inside the front door, and every time I look at that picture, I remember the whole coffee house and what it smelled like. I love that my littlest brother is in there drinking a coffee. You could see him from the back drinking probably a little hot chocolate or something. You could see all the essential oils there that they had. Just the whole feel of that. And even though the embellishments and die cuts are a little dated because it's a few decades old that I made this, still the color, the unity, the balance, the proportion, everything it fits together, and it leaves me with an accurate feeling about that place and those pictures. But I just feel very good. Those colors, they're not like the Panera Breads and the coffee houses of today. They're like that coffee house there on that island. And I really like it. So thanks so much for watching this episode of Scrapbook Tutor on structure. And I encourage you to check out other videos on the Sandpaper Road channel. Thanks so much for subscribing. Also, make sure to tune into the other episodes of Scrapbook Tutor as well. And we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.